Greetings, I'm Eddie Muller, coming to you from the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland, California. Noir Alley travels abroad today to demarcated and war-torn Vienna in the years immediately following World War II. Our movie is The Third Man, released in 1949, and unquestionably one of the greatest works of 20th century cinema. For me, this is a twofer. I've had lots of requests to show some British film noir, and The Third Man has been requested by many viewers. Today, I satisfy all of you. And of course, I've had just as many people ask if The Third Man is really a film noir. For some, it fits more neatly into the spy and espionage genre, as it revolves around the trafficking in black market penicillin and has few of the stock characters we typically see in crime films. But the film has a noir look and feel second to none, thanks to the inspired direction of Carol Reed and the spectacular cinematography of Robert Krasker, which won the film its lone Oscar. For me, it's the film's philosophical themes that push it deep into noir terrain. In the guise of a mystery thriller, The Third Man offers bitter rumination on moral ambiguity and hypocrisy, pitting the questionable ethics of a single man, the duplicitous Harry Lime, against a world order that has just blown much of Europe to bits. There is a lot to absorb in this one. Sometimes great films have odd origins. In the case of The Third Man, it all began with trapped money. British producer Alexander Korda had funds frozen in Austria from pre-war projects, and rather than battle with the banks, he opted to spend some of it on a new movie. He sent writer Graham Greene on a reconnaissance mission to soak up the atmosphere in post-war Vienna and spin a plot based on what he saw happening there. A Korda-Greene collaboration was itself something of a miracle, since Greene routinely trashed Korda's movies when he worked as a film critic. But prior to this project, Korda had adapted Greene's story, The Fallen Idol, which Greene actually liked. It was wonderfully directed by Carol Reed, whom Korda would entrust to direct whatever Greene brought back from Vienna. That turned out to be a treatment so dense, Greene turned it into a novella called The Third Man. From that, he wrote the finished screenplay. It helped the script's verisimilitude that Greene had been a spy for British intelligence during the war. He had a firm grasp of the geopolitics straining the tenuous alliance between the Allied powers that had divided up European cities in the aftermath of the war: the Brits, the Americans, the French, and the Russians. Even more to the point, Greene had been an associate of the notorious Kim Philby, a British agent who was eventually exposed as a counter-spy for the Russians. Many devotees of The Third Man believe Philby was the model for the shifty character Harry Lime, although one could deduce a bit of self-revelation by the author. Harry Lime and Graham Greene? The film was conceived as an exclusively British production, with the roles of Harry Lime and Holly Martins intended for Noel Coward and Cary Grant, respectively. But when Korda entered into a joint production deal with American producer David O. Selznick, things changed. Grant walked away from the project, which opened the door for Selznick to suggest two actors he had under contract, Joseph Cotten and Alida Valli. Once Holly Martins became an American, Greene colored the character with his own anti-American bias, making Martins a writer of cheap pulp fictions and one of the most clumsy and clueless protagonists ever. With Cotten on board, it dawned on the filmmakers to consider his buddy, Orson Welles, in the role of Harry Lime. At this point, Welles was living in Europe, having become a pariah in Hollywood. Selznick considered Welles' box office poison and lobbied against his casting. But Carol Reed was adamant, and in hindsight, it seems preordained that Welles would be part of this project. Carol Reed was hugely influenced by Welles's directorial style, particularly the canted camera angles and bold editing decisions. Welles's inspiration was so evident, some critics insisted, with no evidence, that he had directed much of the film. Not true, although his larger-than-life influence is obvious. Also, with Trevor Howard and featuring one of the most unique and evocative scores ever, Here is the counterweight to all the cheap and grungy B movies I've shown on Noir Alley. One of the greatest movies ever made, The Third Man.